You could be just one day away from your business taking off, but if you stop today, you would never know. This is the first part of our business growth series where I am sharing my top growth advice from 14 years experience of running a successful marketing agency, as well as the lessons I've learned from working with hundreds of different businesses over the years. I'm breaking this down into separate videos that are going to be short and impactful, and today we are talking about being patient. So let's jump in. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Digital Marketing Podcast. So today starts off our new business growth series where I am talking about being patient. And these are going to be short but impactful series episodes where I'm going to share my top growth advice that I have seen and experienced over the last 14 years. So today we're talking about being patient. So what does that mean and how does that show up in your business and what does that mean to you as a business owner or an entrepreneur? Well, basically, what I've seen when it comes to being patient is a lot of new businesses or even established businesses, I guess, but mostly probably newer starting off businesses have these goals or expectations and they don't achieve them in the amount of time they think that they should achieve them, and they just give up. If they would have kept going and given it another month, week, year, whatever, then they would have seen that growth. I think in today's society, we tend to want things faster because we can get things faster. But when it comes to business, most likely it's going to take longer than you expect. Every successful business, every successful entrepreneur, every successful coach out there, all you see is the success. What you don't see is the years and years of hard work and what they had to do to get there. So, stopping short and quitting too soon is one of the top things people do and fail. If they would have just kept going, they would have had success. So, here's some other things about being patient, how it can kind of weave into the fabric of your business. So one thing this is kind of cynical, but I see it happening. I've seen it a lot where I've had what I would think is like my competition or someone who I'm kind of comparing myself to, who, I'm kind of aligned with. And it's, over a period of time and then they just kind of fall off, right? They just disappear. Life happens, right? They get divorced or they get married or someone dies or they sell their business or they take on something new or whatever, right? There's 100 million things that could happen in life where it changes their direction. So sometimes all it is about being patient is just outlasting your competition. I like to call it outlifing your competition, really, right? So all you have to do is just stick with it. There's people like social media accounts where I'm just like, we're kind of like, watching each other and then they just disappear, and then I don't see them ever anymore. They're gone. Maybe they'll come back. I don't know, but they just kind of gave up. So, a lot of times it's just outlasting your competition. That's just being patient. So the other thing that comes into being patient is really comparing yourself to others. And you wouldn't really, I don't think a lot of times tie these two things together, but I think this is where being patient gets hard, because if you are comparing yourself to others, then it's making the whole game of being patient really, really hard, because you're seeing them do certain things or you're trying to measure up to them, or you're comparing yourself and it's not a fair comparison. So when you aren't hitting the goals they're hitting, or if you're not where they're at, or that comparison game where you think you should be somewhere you're not based off of what someone else is doing, that's where people typically stop. I see it a ton in social media. And then even just in business in general, people just, oh, they're getting there. They're, within this amount of time, they're doing this and I'm not, and I'm doing all this. It's not working, so I'm going to stop doing this. A great example is a YouTube channel. Let's say you're starting a YouTube channel and you did 20 to 50 videos and you're just not getting the views that somebody else is getting. And you've tried everything. You're doing exactly the same things. What if you would have maybe gotten to like the 105th video, that's the one that would have probably got the momentum and, went viral. You just don't know. But if you're comparing yourself to these other numbers or these other channels or these other businesses, this is what comes into our mindset. It makes us want to stop. So it's really being patient, being focused on your own goals and being patient with the process. The other thing when it comes to being patient in your business is it creates consistency, right? So if you go into the process knowing that you're going to have to be patient, it's not going to happen as fast as you think, and you're just going to have to put on the blinders and not look at everybody else and just know what you want to do, know what you need to do, and just go do it consistently based off of your goals. So it creates this platform, this opportunity to be consistent. If you're not patient, then you are, trying this and this didn't work. You do a little bit of this and didn't work. Nope, do a little bit of this, it didn't work. And you're not being consistent over a long enough period of time in any one thing. So, it just takes time. For a podcast, this podcast doesn't get a ton of numbers compared to maybe some other ones, but I also know we just barely hit a year, and some of the other ones that are, have more views have, they're in their 200th episode. We haven't even hit our 100th yet. So for me to try to compare myself to them is ridiculous. So if I did, it would really be hard to be consistent because I would just want to give up. So when you are being patient, it creates the ability in this whole platform to be consistent. The next thing is being patient builds persistency. I should say it builds the opportunity for persistency. So let me explain. I'll share a story where me being patient and allowed me to be persistent. Okay. We had a lead that came to us. It was a cold lead for a pretty big project. Actually, one of the biggest projects we had come through our agency, still to this day. And we had a great meeting. I sent them a proposal and they went silent right after I sent it. And I was really bummed. And I gave it a little bit of time and they, still weren't ready to move forward. I was just getting the no. So I would wait, a month and I would check back in and then nothing, still not ready to move forward. I'd wait another month or so, whatever. I was just being patient with them and not giving up. And that really was just me being persistent, right? But if I wasn't patient, I wouldn't have been able to be persistent. I would have given up because I wasn't patient enough to be persistent. So, but at the end of it, it was probably a year or more later that I reached out and they were like, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. And after we got the job and we were moving through the project, I later found out that the reason they decided to go with us was not because of our skill set, not because of some talent. It wasn't because of our pricing or what we were offering. The one reason they said, you know what, let's do it, is because of me being persistent and then patient with them. And it showed them how much I really wanted to work with them. So that's how persistency can live in a world where you're patient. But if you're not patient, you can't be consistent and you can't be persistent. You have to be patient in all of these areas. So that wraps us up with being patient. So my advice to you is to really go back and focus on your big overarching goals and what you are trying to achieve. Then always stay focused on that. And then just think about being patient. It's just right around the corner. Right around the corner. So that's my advice to you. I'd love to hear your feedback. Please leave it in the comments. Share this podcast with others if you think they might find some value. And we would love to see a review from you. If you find this valuable, if you listen to this podcast, if you've listened to this one or multiple ones, I ask you to please leave us a review. We would love to see that. And we'll see you in the next episode.